A year ago, when I said that I would stake my entire professional career on the fact that Brigitte Macron, the current First Lady of France, was born a man, there were many people, of course, who did not believe me because that just sounds crazy. But even those people, thanks to Emmanuel Macron's strongly worded letter, which he had his legal team put together and asked me not to publicize, are now starting to pay a little bit of attention. Take this comment from popular Canadian YouTuber and lawyer who goes by Viva Frey. He wrote this under the episode regarding that letter. I was very skeptical at first that Brigitte was a man, but I've got to tell you, Macron's lawyers are really starting to convince me. Legally speaking, it was an implausibly stupid move what they did, okay? While refusing to just plainly state that Brigitte Macron, the current First Lady of France, was indeed born a woman, they used all sorts of tricky language to suggest that they could sue me for defamation over minor errors that I made in my reporting. Okay, essentially, they were not addressing the substance of the claim. Brigitte Macron was born a biological male, but instead attacking things like, you said in an earlier report that a picture from Brigitte's communion was recolorized. This is false. This reporting has caused Brigitte to have mental anguish. Okay. But as I said, their lawyers made a critical mistake because in order to prove defamation, you have to prove that somebody acted in reckless disregard for the truth, that they knew the truth and they made a decision not to publicize it. Instead, they wanted to just publicize lies, which is something that if you guys watch this show, you know that I do not do it, I do not engage in it, quite the opposite. So by sending me a legal letter, they unintentionally provided me with a direct line, a direct link to ask Brigitte Macron and Emmanuel Macron candid questions. They can't pretend they didn't see our questions, okay? The majority of the questions that we asked them were simply yes or no. Those were the answers that we needed, with the promise that we gave them that if she answered the questions, we would fully report on the facts. So I want to show you some of these very simple 21 questions that we asked Brigitte Macron so that we could use our platform to put an end to her mental anguish, okay? We asked, is the little girl pictured in the communion photograph, allegedly from 1963, the Brigitte Macron that is currently married to President Macron? Did Brigitte Macron ever use the name Veronique? Can you account for all of the children from the Amiens family photograph and their current whereabouts? Did Brigitte Macron physically give birth to 3 children? These are easy questions, guys. Is Brigitte Macron the same person pictured in the Ozier wedding photograph? Did Brigitte Macron ever have a relationship with Veronique Drew? Would you please provide photographs of Brigitte Macron in the 1970s? Would you please provide school photographs of Jean-Michel Trudeau, a person they purport is her brother, and Brigitte Trudeau, preferably together? When did Brigitte Macron first meet President Macron and under what circumstances? What were their respective ages when they met? Did the Macrons have an intimate physical relationship before President Macron turned 18? And if so, at what age did the relationship begin? Have your clients attempted to correct the French version of Wikipedia, which states that Brigitte Macron, regarding Brigitte Macron, quote, the age difference of more than 24 years between the two lovers causes a scandal in the Trudeau family, especially since their relationship could fall under the scope of Article 22727 of the Penal Code, which establishes the offense of sexual assault on a minor. Have your clients initiated legal action against the International Pedophile and Child Emancipation Lobby, which cites Macron's relationship in its publication, Positive Memories, on a list of, quote, positive, loving relationships with children? Like I said, these are pretty simple questions. If you are a person and you are going through mental anguish because people are talking about you being born a biological male, wouldn't you race to answer those questions? Yeah. Well, apparently they simply were not anguished enough to hire. They were anguished enough to hire and pay an American legal firm in D.C. to send us a 100-page lettered threat, but they simply were not anguished enough or could not muster the energy to answer 21 basic questions to put an end to the scandal. We received no response from them because we knew that we would not receive a response from them because, well, they're lying. They are, in fact, lying to the public about Brigitte Macron's past identity. and a court case would have given us the opportunity to prove it via subpoena power. America is not France. And the state of Tennessee sure as hell isn't Paris. So let me tell you why this story matters worldwide, okay? Because this is not just something that impacts Europe. It has international implications. For example, the unprecedented raid on Donald Trump's residence at Mar-a-Lago over documents that he had taken from the White House. You guys remember that, right? Check out this headline that was in The Guardian. Trump boasted that he had intelligence on Macron's sex life. Inventory of what was seized at Mar-a-Lago caused a transatlantic freakout between Paris and Washington. I'm sorry, what? What could he have stumbled upon about Emmanuel Macron's sex life that would have caused a transatlantic panic? Here's a Rolling Stone headline to the same effect. It reads, Trump bragged that he had, quote-unquote, intelligence on Macron's sex life. The FBI seized a document with info on the French president during the Mar-a-Lago raid that has officials in both countries hunting for answers. Oh, okay. Why would you be stressed as a president? What were your tastes? And here's an excerpt from that Rolling Stone article, because this really is incredible. Most people don't remember this, okay? It reads, then, of course, the mere revelation of its existence triggered a transatlantic freakout, according to two other sources familiar with the situation and Trump's prior talk about the Macrons' allegedly naughty ways that, quote, not very many people know, only intensified those concerns. Both French and U.S. officials worked to figure out precisely what Trump had on Macron and France's government, and if any of it was sensitive in nature, the sources said. The officials in both nations wanted to know if this discovery signified some kind of a national security breach, or if it amounted to a frivolous but stolen keepsake. Oh, okay. You wouldn't be freaking out unless there was something to be freaking out about, and that Trump actually had some intelligence that could ruin things. Now I can remind you guys of the infamous Summer Olympics of 2024, just last year, where the entire world watched as drag queens carried the Olympic torch and performed the opening ceremony. The Macrons, in my view, explicitly lied in their legal letter to me when they said that it was not mimicking the Last Supper. They said it was not satanic. Okay, here it is. Here is a side-by-side, because as we unpack this series, you are going to see that do not believe your own eyes is a repeat Macron instruction, okay? There's the Last Supper on the left, Leonardo da Vinci's Last Supper, and on the right there are the Paris Olympics, okay? But even if you really didn't want to believe your own eyes, it would be reasonable to assume that we could at least believe the people who performed in the ceremony, right? The lead performer was a lesbian named Barbara Bush, and following the performance, here's what Barbara Bush posted on Instagram. She wrote, oh yes, the new gay testament, with an LGBTQ flag and a fist pump. And she tagged some other people in her community. Yeah, that would register to most people as satanic, an inversion of the New Testament. But after the backlash and after the producers of the Olympics had already confessed to Page 6 that it was supposed to be Leonardo da Vinci's Last Supper, they attempted to backtrack and backpedal and officially claim that actually it was a pagan feast that they were mimicking. What escaped the public at large was the fact that Thomas Jolly, that was the artistic director of the performance, was handpicked to put this ceremony on in the presence of none other than First Lady Brigitte Macron, who went to see him back in 2022 at the premiere of his musical Starmania, which he produced. Emmanuel Macron, according to The Spectator at least, then personally ordered Jolly to outdo the London Olympics. So I want you guys to make no mistake, both he and his quote-unquote wife were both intimately involved with the ceremony. As we unpack the story of Brigitte and Emmanuel, you are going to notice some strange recurring themes. That scandals related to pedophilia and transgenderism, incest, and sexual perversion just keep accidentally following them wherever they go. Parking aside the fact that even if you believed that Brigitte Macron was a woman, and I'm telling you she isn't, and you won't believe that by the time that we're done with this series, you would have to accept that her love story with Emmanuel Macron is completely unpalatable, okay? It begins when she was a 39-year-old drama teacher at La Providence School, and she saw a 14-year-old boy, Emmanuel Macron, perform in a play, and that was it. That just completely swept her off her feet. Okay, apparently a love story for the ages. By the way, that was one of many first red flags for me. A 14-year-old boy and a 39-year-old woman. I'm sorry, this is not a thing. Okay, I'm 35. Do you know what a 14-year-old boy looks like? Boys don't even complete puberty until they're about 16 years old. There's nothing manly, nothing attractive. They look like children. That's what they look like. They look like children. Boys mature at a slower pace than girls mature. Even when you hear the stories of a woman and they call her a cougar, they don't go after 14-year-old boys. They like a young Brad Pitt from Troy looking guy in his early 20s, okay? Not a 14-year-old boy. So that registered to me as remarkably strange. I don't know, truly, I can't even think of a cultural example of a woman who was in her mid-30s, about to turn 40, that found a 14-year-old boy attractive. You guys can help me find one, okay? So once the couple moved into Élysée Palace, that's the French White House, weird scandals began to follow them. For example, for whatever reason, it became known to the public that Brigitte Macron, who fancies herself something of a designer, wanted to install an erect penis with golden balls to become the new spire for the Notre Dame Cathedral. Yes, you heard me correct. Here is a headline in the Daily Mail to back that up. Brigitte Macron backed an erect phallus with golden balls as the new spire for the Notre Dame Cathedral, France's former culture minister claims. This is not a conspiracy. The former Minister of Culture was Roselyne Bachelot. She openly admitted that Brigitte Macron adversed her modern designs in January of 2021. That's a theme. Brigitte likes freaky art. That's just what she's into. Just like when they moved into the Élysée Palace, she got right to work redesigning things that had meaning to her. Art has meaning. Just one example, she handpicked a carpet from an artist known as Claude Levesque, okay? This is a photo we're showing you right now of that hand-picked carpet. She really wanted to get involved, and that piece was known as Black Sun, okay? Regarding Claude Levesque, people started pointing out that there were a lot of pedophile undertones in his work, a work of a man that through various commissions has sort of become this quasi-official artist of the French Republic. Le Monde, and just so you know, Le Monde, you're going to hear me speaking about that a lot, that is the French equivalent to the New York Times. This is what they wrote about Claude Levesque's lifestyle. Quote, Claude Levesque refers to the teenagers around him as his godchildren, nephews, assistants, and even sons. These cuddly toys and teddy bears that he carries around the world, that he takes out for meals, and that he displays in every nook and cranny of his two homes were, according to the artist in his interviews, quote, given to him by friends, memories that were too intimate to talk about. His obsession with the world of childhood is seen as an quote-unquote artistic sublimation, the fantasy of someone who is far more at ease with children than with the world of adults. The visual artist describes his sexual tastes and his relationships with young boys as, quote, linked to libertarian thought and the punk movement. If you look closely, allusions to these forbidden relationships are found throughout his works. Here, there would be a quotation from Michel Tournier's Le Roi de Aulnay, which is a book that is about a guy. It has a lot of pedophile overtones, just so you know. Over there, a reference to The Night of the Hunter, with Robert Mitchum as a diabolical preacher stalking two innocent children, plus countless allusions to Visconti's cult film Death in Venice, where a beautiful teenager, Tadzio, is idolized by an aging man. Other allusions are more cryptic, such as this press clipping that appears in his book Holidays in France. And it alludes to Jackie Kaisermertz, a pedo-criminal school teacher who went on a rampage, this is a true story, in Nièvre, that's a French town, from 1970 to 1997 with more than 70 victims. He was eventually sentenced in 2001 to 18 years imprisonment. That's the kind of stuff that Claude Levesque likes to put into his work and into his books, allusions to pedophilia. So you guys are going to be a little bit shocked right now to learn that Brigitte Macron eventually had to remove his carpet from the office. You see, there's a picture of Macron sitting on top of his carpet, and they had to remove it in 2021 because the attraction to his artwork became a little bit embarrassing when multiple legal procedures began against Claude Levesque for statutory rape. That came to light in 2021. And ironically, in 2023, the artist Claude Levesque was indicted for the rape of minors when two brothers from that little town in Nievre said that they were sexually assaulted when they were teenagers from him. But no doubt, guys, that's just another oopsie. This is probably